Welcome to the Beyond the Bestseller podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Schubnecht, and today's guest is Amber Kliphouse, author of Clean Start. Let's get into it. Hi, Amber. Thank you for joining me on the Beyond the Bestseller podcast. I'm going to just start out by having you introduce yourself and tell us about your book, which is Clean Start.
Yes, ma'am. Hey, Kelly. Thanks for having me. My name's Amber Kliphouse, and I recently wrote my very first book. It's called Clean Start. The subtitle is a suicide survivor turned into a real estate investor. It's basically my life story of how I went from, a 16-year-old runaway to a teen mom to a suicide survivor. And I just go through all the feelings and the hurdles and times that I had to have my own clean start.
I like that. Yeah, I wondered what the title, like where that came from. I read the description on Amazon and was like, man, you have lived a lot of lives already.
Yeah, I know. And I'm so young. Well, I want to say I'm young. And it's definitely been, rinse and repeat, try again. Let's get back up and keep going.
Yeah. And so you and I met just recently as part of, and I want to share this because I had Kara Allwill on the podcast. She was my first interview episode. And in that, I asked her, kind of how women who, want to go out, do their own thing, be entrepreneurs, start a business, whatever, how they can get like into some sort of community, how they can get connected with other women. And I didn't know that she had her own community, Girl on Fire Collective. So I joined that, and that's where you and I met. So tell me about your entrepreneurship journey and kind of how you started your business and kind of what led to that.
Yeah, so it's a very unique story. Clean Start has several meanings to me. On one side, I like to say that we all can have a clean start by just trying again. But funny enough, I actually had a cleaning company, and that's where Clean Start kind of came from. When I first met my husband, now 17 years ago, my son's father had just committed suicide like a year and a half prior. I was in a really bad relationship. I worked for a cleaning company, and the guy kind of just shut down and changed his number, actually during November. And he didn't give us any kind of heads up or last paycheck or anything. And I was, super upset. I just met my now husband, and he was like, just get bonded, insured, get an LLC and start your own. And I was like, I can't do that. And he's, basically, you don't know how to clean? I'm like, I mean, I do, but like how? He's like, just knock on the door. So I was like, okay. I kind of took a leap of faith. I went to, the old clients and knocked on the door and kind of told them what happened. They were all happy to hire me. And I ran my cleaning company for 15 years single-handedly. A lot of times I was asked why won't I hire out, but they were my family. Like they took me in at my lowest of low. They took care of me. They knew Stevie's story, my son, and they just were there to support me. Just very recently, about 18 months ago, I shut down the cleaning company to help my husband with the real estate business because we started
Okay.
to do better and better and, better together, as they say. I know it's corny, but we really do work really, really well together. I do the property management side of things, and he does, the construction side of things.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So that's the real estate side of that. It's
Yeah.
interesting that you said how he kind of was like, well, why don't you just do this yourself? As I'm exploring this entrepreneurship world, I feel like that's just something I keep seeing where like I don't know. I feel like women we tend to be less like maybe it's just like less like of a risk taker, or like we don't see ourselves maybe as like being as capable of doing these things. I don't know. I just literally just this morning had a friend of mine, a guy, reach out saying like, hey, you should reach out to this person about this potential work for him in marketing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would never put myself out there like that. But like somebody kind of encouraging me to do it was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like I can do that, like it sounds very similar where you're just like, I didn't think about like taking all of that on myself and, putting myself in that position. But so how long did it take you to get your business up and running at that time?
For my cleaning company, it was almost immediately. It wasn't long. I was already like the head cleaner. A lot of people were requesting me to come clean because I was very like thorough, and that people pay a lot of money to have their house clean. So I was really like taking my time and the most requested. So everyone I asked, they said yes. And I was cleaning like, 3 houses a day. I actually had to scale down because there's only one of me. And I was so particular about my clients because they were like family. So it,
Yeah.
it, it was, before Thanksgiving break was over, I was up and running. So it was a
Nice.
great blessing.
Yeah. Well, and so what's the difference between the cleaning business that you did and the real estate? Like how did you kind of transfer your skills from one to the other?
Well, they're both of taking care of people, So I started lead calling is what we call it when someone's looking to sell their house. I would be the voice on the other end, and a lot of people are very aggressive about it. Usually, people are selling for not great reasons, like it's divorce or death, and I'm a Pisces, so I'm super empathetic, and I just connected with the callers on the other end of the line, just like I did with cleaning. When I clean houses, I always said I knew I made a difference because someone would come home like, "Wow, Amber was here today." So the same thing when it spiraled over to lead calling, like I just want to treat them like a person, not like a number or a house because they have a problem and they need a solution.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Well, you have been very encouraging to me in the Girl on Fire collective. We met, I think it was just yesterday or earlier this week. And you were just talking to me about how women entrepreneurs want to help other women entrepreneurs. And I just remember you saying that. What were some of I don't know, do you have any like stories to share of women that have supported you on your journey and just kind of how I don't know, how you felt supported by them?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's very important to join a group, find a place where you fit in. Like Care group, for example, has been wonderful. I've only been in it since the summer, so a couple months. But by call two, I was just having a really bad. I got into a fight with my husband. It happens, and I was just feeling like the weight of, the balancing act that we do was on my shoulders. I was at the airport floor crying, debating if I should jump on the call or not because I was like a mess. And one person spoke before me and she was very like vulnerable about what she was going to, and it allowed me to speak up. And all the women in the call, as you see, they were like, you got this, Amber, keep going. We all have hard times, like not even day by day, take it minute by minute. And I was just like, wow, I don't even know these women, but they are all like cheering me on. And I feel like the lowest of low. So that's one moment in particular that sticks out to me.
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed that I've joined the Girl on Fire Collective and I have joined some other kind of networking groups for women. And it's amazing how just like the little, I don't know, pats on the back or the little like cheers that you get, just keep you going. You're just like, oh, like there's so much energy that comes from that and just and also just like sharing your journey and what you're doing. It's just I don't know. It's been really a fun experience for me. Are you in any other kind of networking groups besides the Girl on Fire Collective?
I'm actually doing one of Kara's mastermind. She does mastermind from time to time, and that's like an 8-week program. We kind of
Okay.
focus on like our particular goals. So the group's a lot smaller, and you go around and share, what you worked on for the week, how you're going to work on it. And mine actually, one of my goals was coming on podcasts, and
Nice.
so this is my third one now, and I'm super like comfortable. It's just like having a conversation. So if
Yeah.
anyone out there who's afraid, like it's so easy. We make phone calls every single day. It's exactly the same. Um, so that was my goal was to go on a podcast, and Kara was like super supportive. One of the women in the group was like, Amber, I think your goal should be 10 podcasts. So just pushing you to that next level. I'm like, all right, challenge accepted.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice. Are you doing like a book tour in those podcasts or what are you like what is your purpose for doing the podcast?
For me, my book is very personal. I know a lot of people deal with like death and suicide. So I just want to bring more awareness to the fact that, you're not alone. And it doesn't have to be suicide related. Like if it's like, starting entrepreneurship for the first time, this is your clean start and you can do it. Just kind of being that voice on the other end of the line saying like, you got this and being a cheerleader.
Yeah, yeah, nice. So with your book, um I like to ask this question on my podcast because the title is Beyond the Bestseller. And the reason for that title is I feel like many women like you wrote a book that isn't for necessarily to become a bestseller or to sell 1 million copies, but you have kind of a deeper purpose for why you're writing the book. So tell me about kind of what led you to write it and kind of what that Beyond the Bestseller for you was.
Yeah, sure. I'm glad you asked that because I was going to keep rambling on with the last question, but my book was never to sell a bunch of copies and make a ton of money. We generate income for real estate through the business. So it's not like a hobby, but it's something that when I wrote my book, it became a healing journey. I was able to get to know myself on a deeper level as a wife, as a mom, as a business owner. We wear so many hats and we get lost in like the hustle and grind every single day. So my front cover is my 7-year-old self, the long dark hallway, and I'm looking down and I'm going through each door, opening it up, dealing with the trauma that's inside and accepting it and closing it. So it's really a healing journey for me. And I just like to get the message out there that we all have a story. Like we all can go back in time, and you don't have to revisit because, everyone processes trauma differently, but you should be able to forgive yourself and let go and carry on in life for your clean start.
Yeah, nice. What was your process in writing the book? How did you tackle sitting down and like getting your thoughts out?
Yeah, so when we started the real estate, we were in another mastermind group and we would do quarterly visits. So every time on the airplane after the event, I would just take so much in with like, what an innovation is, all these real estate terminology. But I used the time to work on myself, and like it was the first time I ever went to like a hockey game, and that what that experience was like for me. And I just started like writing, and it uncovered deeper levels of experiences that I didn't know were hidden inside me, if that makes sense. So really it led me to journaling and getting to know myself.
Nice, nice. So for women who want a clean start, whatever that looks like, and part of the mastermind groups I'm seeing, like there's all different kinds of clean starts, right? Like, so, and
Yeah.
like you mentioned earlier, because that group has been interesting. Like for me, my clean start is like starting a new business. And but you mentioned, like some people going through divorce or, maybe I don't know, some other sort of change in their life that they're dealing with. How does your like, I guess, what is your advice to women who are looking for a clean start, and just like how do they get unstuck? And I'm thinking of my previous self, right? So when I was in the corporate world, I was not happy and I could not get myself to make the decision to like, so I was stuck, right? Like I was in that stuck, like, I don't know how to get out of this. So how do you, like, what advice do you have for women like that? And maybe they don't have the husband saying like, can't you just do this on your own? Right.
Yeah.
Like you did. I have that husband, but like, not everyone has that person that's like really,
Sure.
backing them. But what advice do you have for women like that?
I would say be selfish. As women, we tend to put ourselves last. I would say put yourself first, be selfish, because you are in the longest relationship with yourself, period. Like no one, your children, your husband, they're all wonderful, but like you are with you forever from the day you're born to the day you leave. So be selfish, put yourself first. No matter what you think that person's going to think, put yourself first.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. It's hard. It's very
It
hard.
is. It's very, I'm practicing what I preach, right? Like I'm working on it too.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the most challenging part of your journey as far as the entrepreneurship? Was it the getting started, or was it, like, did you have other challenges that you faced? Like, what was the hardest thing for you?
For me, with the cleaning company in particular, with Steven's dad not being here, and even though I was with my husband, he was supportive. Like I was the mom and the dad because the relationship was new. So just figuring out like, the childcare kind of deal, because he was too young for
Mhm.
school. So just managing childcare, um, being okay with not getting a paycheck is pretty big. When you are forced to make your own income, no matter what it takes, things don't always work out and you don't always have that many people sign up or houses cancel, and you have to have a plan B at all times. So just
Mhm.
constantly finding ways to generate income.
Yeah, that is definitely a challenge, and I'm definitely I definitely
Yeah.
understand that challenge now as I'm, building a business and thinking like, okay, like I've got to get from here to there, right? And how do I get there?
Yep.
Yeah, that is definitely the hard part. Um, what other kind of I don't know, what other advice do you have for women just like especially, you talk about being a teen mom and, being a mom running a business, the challenges of finding childcare, like what other advice do you have for women who are like in that place of like trying to figure it out and do all the things, you know, putting yourself first is easy to say, but it's also like, how do you actually do that when you have all of these other responsibilities and things?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing would be routine. I did not have routine growing up. I did not know what routine looked like. Being a business owner, as you know, you make your own schedule, so you're your own boss. So you have to get really strict on having a routine. For me personally, the way I put myself first every single day, no questions asked. I wake up, I pour my coffee, and I journal. I journal and I actually have two journals. I have my daily journal and my gratitude journal because I'm extremely grateful for this life. I go to the gym and I do, like 3 miles or so, and then I take care of whatever needs to be taken care of. But by implementing the routine of like gym, journal, coffee, of course, like no exception, and then the rest follows. Like the world doesn't start until those things fall into play. I would
Yeah.
say 99.9% of the time. Like I'm not perfect, I'm human. So, but that's just having a routine of putting you first. And if it's getting up earlier, so be it. Like you'll thank yourself later that you're filling your cup up before anyone else's.
Yeah. Do you have tips on journaling? I had another guest on that does a January journaling, maybe challenge. I forget what it was she called it, but and I'm actually looking forward to trying that because journaling for me is I've tried some different things, but I haven't found anything that I just like am like, I have to do it this way. I've tried just different things. Like I like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but like I haven't found a consistent routine. So how do you approach the journaling practice?
I actually made my own journal and I paired it with my Clean Start book. So if you go on Amazon, you look up Clean Start by Amber Kliphouse, you'll see my book, and underneath is a planner. And the way I incorporate fun is when you start, it's a bucket list. Like, again, you first, where do you want to go? Mexico, Hawaii, jump out of a plane, go camping, whatever it entails, just so it's fun, right? And exciting. You can look through it. And I do like a morning and evening routine, and I keep it small and simple. Like what's something good that happened? What am I grateful for? Because when you have a blank page, sometimes it's very overwhelming and you're like, where do I even begin? So I find that journal prompts are best to spark that, inner interest inside you. So in the back of my journal, I just have random blank pages with some prompts that I like to. So I actually created my own journal that you can check out, or if
Yeah,
not, there's a
nice.
ton of journals with prompts, but I definitely recommend prompts for me
Okay.
personally.
Yeah, yeah. No, I like that because yeah, then it's like, okay, this tells you exactly what to focus on today.
Yep, yep,
Yeah, I'll link to your journal. I didn't know you had that, so I'm glad I asked
yeah,
that question. I'll link to your journal in the show notes so that people can access that as well as your book. Um,
great.
well, just to kind of wrap us up, tell me about like who is your who is that your book intended for? Like, who is the ideal reader, the person who's going to get the most out of reading it?
I would say anyone looking for a clean start. Like I said, even if it's just selling a house, even if it's going back to college, getting a divorce, figuring out how to co-parent, you are a teen mom, or you're thinking about becoming a mom, or I don't want to limit myself and say women, but my target audience probably is more for women because the way I speak in the book and the steps I talk about, everything that I went through. But it's really anyone looking for a clean start.
I like that. So my daughter is actually doing cleaning work. So I am like, I feel like she needs to read your book, and she listens to podcasts while she's cleaning. So I'll have to have her listen to this episode.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. And she's in college. So, it's like great time for a clean start and
Yeah.
learn from your experiences. Is your book available in, so it's paperback and hardback. I was gonna say, is it audiobook as well?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, it is an audiobook.
I believe so. I have to check the link. I'm not
Oh,
100%.
okay.
Not where, no, I'm sorry. Not where you can download to Kindle and read it. Not like how we're speaking and
Got it.
listening.
Got
No,
it.
not
Okay.
audio.
Got it. I was going to say she might listen to it while she's cleaning, but yeah,
It's
no, you've
a
got the
really
Kindle
short,
and
it's a,
book.
sorry, it's a really easy read. It's very short. It's like 220 pages. The font's pretty big. I'm very straight to the point, but I just walk, my readers through the process of what I went through and what that felt like and getting to the next day.
Nice. I love it. Well, thank you. Your story, I'm sure, is incredibly inspiring. Just based on the description, I'm like hooked and want to know more. So I will share the link to that in the show notes. And thank you so much, Amber, for coming on and sharing your book with us and your story. And yeah, thank you again.
Thanks for having me.
Looking for a community of women writers to support and inspire you on your journey? Join the Author Power Circle. Connect weekly with fellow authors, stay accountable, and move your book forward in an encouraging community. Learn more at kellyshuckneck.com.